Once upon a time, in a small village nestled in the rolling hills of Africa, there lived a young girl named Adana. She was a beautiful and kind-hearted girl, with big brown eyes and curly black hair. However, her life was not as beautiful as she was. Adana's parents passed away when she was just 5 years old, leaving her in the care of her uncle, Chief Okoro. He was a wealthy and powerful man in the village, with a big mansion and many servants. Adana's uncle had promised to take care of her and provide for her, but little did she know that her fate was about to take a turn for the worst. As soon as Adana moved into her uncle's mansion, she was met with hostility and mistreatment from her uncle's wife and cousins. Her uncle's wife, Neka, was a cruel and selfish woman who saw Adana as a burden. She had 2 daughters, Amaka and Kemi, who were spoiled and jealous of Adana's presence. They saw Adana as competition for their father's attention and made sure she knew she was not welcome in their home. Her aunt and cousins would often insult and belittle her, making her feel like she was not good enough. From a young age, Adana was forced to do all the household chores, from cooking and cleaning to fetching water and tending to the farm. None of the servants were allowed to help her. While her cousins Amaka and Kemi were left to lounge around, play and have fun. She was given the scraps of food and the tattered clothes to wear. Neka would often scold and beat her for the smallest mistakes, leaving Adana with bruises and scars. Her uncle, blinded by his love for his wife, turned a blind eye to her mistreatment. And so, Adana was left to suffer in silence. Despite the mistreatment, Adana never lost her gentle and kind nature. She would often spend her free time out in the fields, admiring the beauty of nature and dreaming of a better life. As the years went by, Adana grew into a beautiful and resilient young woman. She loved to help people and would make them happy even when she herself is sad. Adana was known in the village for her hard work and kind heart. She was loved by everyone in the village. Her uncle's wife, however, only grew more bitter and resentful towards her. She saw Adana as a threat, a reminder of her own failures as a wife and mother. Her daughters Amaka and Kemi grew up to be very arrogant and disrespectful. They looked down on the villagers as they were poor and thought it was beneath them to talk to them. Because of this, they had a very bad reputation in the village. No man in the village wanted to marry or be associated with them. Most of the suitors that came to their house were only interested in marrying Adana. Neka would always reject their proposals with different excuses and present her 2 daughters instead. The suitors who have already heard of the 2 girls' reputation would always reject them. This has happened so many times, that Neka and her daughters were filled with so much jealousy and hatred towards Adana. Neka saw Adana as an obstacle towards her daughter's marriage. And so, Neka plotted to get rid of Adana once and for all. One night, while Adana was asleep in her room, Neka snuck in and drugged her. When Adana woke up, she found herself in a dark and dingy room, miles away from her village. Her uncle's wife had sold her off to a wealthy merchant as a servant. Adana was devastated and heartbroken, but she refused to give up hope. Despite the harsh treatment and long hours of work, Adana never lost her gentle nature. She would often be seen humming to herself as she went about her chores, a small glimmer of hope still shining in her eyes. Her resilience and kind heart caught the attention of the merchant's son, Emeka, who was also living in the household. He was drawn to Adana's beauty and her inner strength. He started to talk to her and slowly, they formed a bond. He learned of her tragic past and was determined to help her escape. Together, they came up with a plan to run away and start a new life. One fateful night, they made their escape, and with the help of some kind villagers, they were able to make it back to Adana's village. Her uncle and his wife Neka were shocked to see her, having assumed she was long gone. But Adana's return was not a happy one. She confronted her uncle and his wife, revealing the truth of her mistreatment and their betrayal. The villagers were outraged, and they demanded justice for Adana. Neka confessed to all her evil actions against Adana. Her uncle and his family were banished from the village and Adana was finally free from their grasp. She was welcomed back with open arms by the villagers, who had missed her gentle spirit and kind heart. With the help of Emeka, Adana was able to start a new life. They got married and built a home of their own, filled with love and happiness. Adana's past may have been filled with darkness and pain, but she never let it dim her light. She had triumphed over her struggles and found true happiness in the arms of the one who saw her for the beautiful and resilient woman she truly was. The moral lesson of this story is that we should learn to treat people with kindness no matter their situation, as jealousy and envy only lead to tragic end. Thanks for watching. Kindly consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Your support will mean the world to me.